Hello everyone and welcome to another game from the quarterfinals of the FIDE World Cup 2021. It's Magnus Carlsen versus Etienne Bacrot. And if you remember in their first game, Magnus won with the black pieces, so now Etienne must do the same in order to force tie breaks. And it's not easy. The only one who was able to get a win so far in the FIDE World Cup is Yesipenko, but that was in the rapid time format where, things get really, really crazy and, anything can happen. But forcing a win with the black pieces in classical chess, that is much, much different. So let's see how Etienne did here and what he chose as his weapon. So without further ado, let's check it out. Magnus has the white pieces and he opens with e4. And of course, what do you do when you go for a win? You played the Sicilian. We have c5, we have knight to f3, d6, and now Magnus doesn't want to go d4 and then allow black to go maybe for some crazy Najdorf. He plays bishop to b5 with check, going for the canal attack. We have bishop to d7, and Magnus trades off a pair of light square bishops. So captures, and now c4, grabbing more space here. In the center, controlling the d5 square. We have e5 by black, and now knight to c3. So this is a characteristic of this opening that white will have an excellent outpost on d5, and black can do absolutely nothing about that. And black will have an excellent outpost on d4, similar to white's outpost on d5. So it's a really interesting position. You could also, place some knights here on f5 and f4, but it's a very characteristic position for this opening. So here we have knight to c6 and now d3, and here the usual way black will continue is g6. This is by far the most popular move. Knight to g7 also played. There are a couple of other moves that are not played as much, but the move Etienne played was never played before. He plays f5, and it is now already, as of move 7, that we have a completely new game. And as you can see, Etienne is really going for it. He wants to win the game with the black pieces against Magnus Carlsen in classical time format. So here Magnus captures on e5. We have e captures, queen captures, a very active square for the black queen. And now, while you could go for something like knight to d5, threaten knight c7, black will very happily castle here, and it's probably the position Etienne wanted. So here Magnus just plays knight to g5, kind of improving the position of the knight. The knight is coming to e4, so you don't really gain anything by challenging it, and you're still waiting to see how black will develop his pieces and where the king will go. So here we have bishop to e7, now with an attack on the knight, knight g to e4, and here knight to f6. And now Magnus feels comfortable about castling kingside, and he goes for it. Castles kingside, and Etienne also castles kingside. Here castling queenside would be really, really crazy, but it would probably favor white. White is probably much faster here, since he can just play maybe a3, b4, bust open the position, and it's going to be very hard for black to play this successfully. So instead, after knight to f6, we have kingside castles by both of them. So castles, and now f4 by Magnus. He wants to open up the f-file for his rook, as black also has a semi-open f-file. We have e captures, not queen captures, obviously. E captures on f5, bishop captures on f5, and now knight captures on e4. You don't have any discoveries with the bishop, because black would very happily play queen captures on f1. So d captures on e4, attacking the queen, queen to g6, and now knight to d5. An excellent square for this knight, attacking the bishop here, and you don't want to, blunder something like, if you play knight to d4, we can capture this and you blunder a queen. Not likely for players of D strength, but you have to be careful about stuff like that. So bishop to g5, offering to trade off the dark square bishops as well, and Magnus simply develops the queen and connects the rook. So queen to d3 also adds a defender to the e4 pawn. We have knight to d4, black also now with the excellent outpost for his knight, and bishop to g3 now. Preparing to trade off rooks along the f-file. So rook captures on f1, rook captures, and now rook to e8. You could also play rook to f8, but Etienne needs to avoid any unnecessary trade-offs because, well, he needs to create winning chances. So he develops the rook to e8, goes after the e4 pawn. We have rook to e1 defending, and now the position is completely equal. Both players have identical pieces, identical number of pawns, so everything is, working well for both of them. The problem is Magnus is satisfied with a draw here, as he goes into the semifinals of the FIDE World Cup if he gets a draw in this game, and Etienne needs a win to force tiebreak. So here we have h5, trying to stir some trouble. We have h3, freeing up this h2 square for his bishop, and now king to h7. We have bishop to f2, now preparing to pick up the knight and to win the pawn here. So knight back to c6 and b3 now. Etienne shifts the knight over to e5 and queen to e2. We have bishop to h6 now, putting pressure along the g file. So if you're not careful, a move like knight to f3 could really hurt. If, for example, the queen moves somewhere. So king to not queen to f1, king to h2. Now the king is no longer on the same file as the queen, and knight to c6 now. Now the knight can again come to d4 and attack the white queen. Queen to f3, and now knight back to e5. And Magnus simply repeats, queen to e2. He says, I'm very happy with the draw here. But Etienne obviously isn't, so he has to continue. We have rook to f8, and now bishop to g3. We have knight back to c6, and now rook to f1. Magnus offers a trade of rooks. We have rook back to e8 and now rook to e1. Again, Magnus very happy with the draw here. He has nothing to prove. We have knight to d4 attacking Carlsen's queen, queen to f2, and now b6. And now what do you play here? Well, Magnus plays h4, and he says there's no way you can do anything here. This position is impenetrable, and I'm off to the semifinals, so sorry about that. But Etienne decided to try. He said, all right, the e4 pawn is attacked twice. I know capturing it isn't a great move, but I'm going to try. I have to create some sort of an imbalance in the position and hope for the best. So he played rook captures on e4, and Magnus now, of course, plays knight to e7, attacking the black queen here. Well, if you attack, if you capture, which is what happened in the game, then Magnus simply wins the exchange. So here, you should play something like queen to e6 or even queen to g4. This is best for black, but it doesn't really matter because it's such a forcing line. Rook captures, and queen to f7. Threatening checkmate, and now if black doesn't want to get checkmate, he has to play knight to f3 check, and that's it. If queen captures, we capture the knight here, and if g captures, we get a nice draw by perpetual checking. King h3, queen f1 check, you go here, I go here, you go here, I go here, and it's going to be a draw by perpetual if black wants to survive. So Etienne, of course, has to avoid this. Again, he has to not go for the best move because he knows this is the best move, but the best move is not enough here. So rook captures on e7, he gives up the exchange. Rook captures, and now knight to f5, attacking the rook here. We have rook back to e2. The rook will help out nicely here with the defense of the of everything basically. And now knight to d4, again improving the position of the knight, attacking the rook. Rook back to e1, and now queen to d3. So hoping for something, but there is well, not a lot to hope for. Magnus played bishop to f4, and now knight back to f5. We have bishop captures on h6, knight captures on h6, and now queen to f3. Magnus offers a queen trade, and of course the endgame is lost for black if the queens get traded off. So here knight to g4 check was played by Etienne. Magnus played king to g3, and it was in this position that Etienne Bacrot resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The problem is, well, white will simply trade queens, not trade queens. White is threatening to pick up the black queen. So if you trade, the endgame is lost. It's incredibly easy for white to just go to the 7th rank, upgrade the rook to a pig and pick up those pawns. And you can't really avoid a queen trade if you play queen to g6, queen to c2, queen anywhere. For example, along this diagonal, we're just going to deliver a check here, force a queen trade, and it's pretty much the same. Black has nothing to hope for. If you block the rook's attempt to go to the 7th rank with 95, we're going to play this. Again, hope to, undermine those pawns from behind. King g8, now we simply go after this pawn, and it's too easy to attack the position. If g6, we go rook to f6, now we go after this pawn, and you can't simply defend all of them. You will slowly but surely, worsen your position, and it's going to be a winning game for white, as it already is. So basically, nothing bad happened for black here. Etienne just got a draw against Magnus because there were no chances in this game. Magnus just took it to a nice calm game, and it's not a problem for him in a classical game with the white pieces. And in order to create some winning chances, Etienne first had to pick up that pawn, and then he decided to give up the exchange, and then little by little, to avoid a draw, he had to lose the game in order to get winning chances. Chess is weird like that. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're gonna check out at least one more game because there were well, all of the games from the semifinals were decisive from round 2. So we're gonna check out at least one more game. I would like to thank Yaroslav Lubelsky, Matthew Benoit, Vlad Ularu, Lu Studios, and Dario Pavlovic for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Continuing the coverage of the FIDE World Cup, checking up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon and have an excellent rest of your day.